Hey there, fellow listeners. Welcome to Relationship Hunt, where I delve into the captivating world of relationship stories shared on Reddit to unearth valuable insights. So be sure to stick around till the end and join the hunt. Boyfriend got upset because I wanted to come along to a football game. What should I say to make him feel better? During a phone conversation, he suddenly mentioned that he is considering getting tickets for a football game in his old college city, which is 2 hours away. It's his favorite team, and it's the last home game of the season. I then asked if I could join him because I've never been to a football game before. He mentioned that he was only considering it because the ticket prices had dropped due to a severe weather alert. He continued to discourage me by saying the weather would be snowy and windy, with a temperature of 20 degrees. He also mentioned that the roads might be dangerous. Since he was planning this last minute, he mentioned that we would have to get standing seats where we couldn't sit for 4 hours. However, when I expressed my desire to go for the fun experience and for safety reasons, as it's better to go together, his mood suddenly changed, and he became upset. He then started asking his friend if the friend and his girlfriend were going. When I mentioned that I didn't realize it was a boys' night, he became even more upset and said that I was invited to come with him. He was simply asking his friend's plans to help him make up his mind. He explained that his friend and his girlfriend might already have tickets, so we could all go together. When I agreed, there was a long awkward silence and I felt nervous and guilty. I apologized for annoying him by asking to join, but he accused me of being pouty and said he was upset because of that. Despite my explanation that I wasn't mad or annoyed, he claimed that my continued questioning about his mood annoyed him. He sighed and said he shouldn't have mentioned it in the first place. This behavior is unusual for him, as he has never been passive-aggressive in the 3 months we've been dating. It surprised me that he wants to go to the football game on such short notice, considering he is also going to the same college town next weekend for a hockey game. He explained that the sudden blizzard alert caused the ticket prices to drop significantly, which is why he's considering it. However, he seemed unsure if he actually wants to go. I feel like I put him in a dilemma, but I don't fully understand it because I wouldn't react the same way in a similar situation. I am currently baffled and feel like I am walking on eggshells. I don't know what to say to make him feel better because if I tell him I don't want to go anymore, I fear he will blame me and call me pouty. On the other hand, if I don't say anything, he will likely be slightly upset when I see him tomorrow. That's a really weird and confusing situation. It seems like your boyfriend is being super touchy and passive-aggressive about whether or not you can go to this football game with him. It's odd that he's suddenly upset when you show interest in going, especially since he's the one who initially mentioned it. I can understand why you're feeling anxious and unsure about how to handle this. My fiance cheated on me while I was sleeping. I need some advice. I haven't been able to pull myself together for a couple of days, so getting it off my chest might help. I'm in a long-term relationship with my high school sweetheart. We got together when I was 15 and he was 17. We've had the occasional problem, but that's to be expected when you're young for most of your relationship. For the past couple of years, things have been going really well between us. He's usually super sweet, thoughtful, and supportive, especially since last year when I started going to college. About 2 years ago, we made an agreement that we could each have a hall pass, just because neither of us had any experiences outside of each other. However, it had strict rules. We had to be open and honest with each other throughout. From the moment we thought something might happen, we needed to talk to each other about it. It couldn't be with friends, and it couldn't happen at home. My biggest requirement was honesty. About a year ago, he broke my trust for the first time. He had asked me for sex, and I had declined because I was tired and stressed because of school and work. He didn't seem bothered and helped me fall asleep so I could take a nap due to a headache. When I woke up from the nap, he was in the living room, which didn't seem strange. So, I quietly went to playfully scare him. However, when I approached from behind, I noticed he was on a camgirl site where you can interact with them, and that's not something I'm comfortable with. We fought about this but ultimately managed to work things out and agreed that this was a boundary that could not be crossed. The rest of the year went by without any problems, and our relationship was the best it has ever been. Now, I've been fighting a cold since New Year's Day. I have an awful chest cough that makes it hard to breathe. After work, I had a terrible headache that made me nauseous from coughing so much. He went and picked up medication for me and helped me relax in the shower to ease my chest. Once I got out of the shower, I was starting to feel better, and he fed me and helped me get comfortable in bed. We watched some TV, and then I told him I was falling asleep. He asked if I felt good enough for some sex to help me sleep, but I declined because I still didn't feel well. Again, he was totally understanding. I fell asleep with my hands on his chest, listening to his heartbeat so I could focus on not coughing. I fell asleep, but less than an hour later, he woke me up in a panic because he was video chatting with a random woman who had added him on Facebook. She took a screen recording of his private parts and threatened to send it to his entire friends list if he didn't send her money. All he kept asking me was what he should do, and in my anger I told him I hope she sends it because that's what he deserves. I ended up leaving for the entire night and stayed in my car. Once he left for work the next day, I came home and moved all his stuff out of our room and into the living room. I haven't been able to bring myself to talk to him, and I haven't been able to leave my bed since I came home. I don't know what I should do. I don't know if I can ever be with him again because I don't know how I'm supposed to ever trust him again. Any opinions would be really helpful. Wow, that's a tough situation. It's understandable that you're feeling hurt and betrayed after his actions. Trust is a vital aspect of any relationship, so it's important to take the time to process your emotions and figure out if you can rebuild that trust with him. Talking to him about how you're feeling and having an open and honest conversation might help you gain some clarity on what to do next. Am I the antagonist for telling my parents I no longer want to bond with my younger brother? I, 20-year-old male, have a younger brother, 18-year-old male. Recently, my brother moved out of our house, but I should clarify that he ran away. Personally, I think it was one of his dumbest decisions ever. Our parents provided him with everything, and I mean everything. It's ridiculous. Meanwhile, at his age, they had me paying bills while he relaxed, played his Sebs 5, and received a generous allowance of $500. He was spoiled beyond belief. Despite having it all, he even stole my car at 3 a.m. and took my dad's handgun to pose with it on Snapchat, pretending to be involved in dangerous activities. It's like, what the actual FEK? Our house has 4 floors and looks like a damn castle. I just don't understand, dude. I never had the same privileges as him, but I don't feel the need to act like he does. When he left, he didn't have an official bank account, savings, credit, or a car since he abandoned it. The reason for his departure was my parents' refusal to let him physically see his girlfriend, 17-year-old female, anymore. They were concerned about potential pregnancy scares, and our parents wanted his girlfriend to start taking birth control if they intended to continue seeing each other. However, she declined, citing her awareness of the side effects and affirming it was her body and her choice. Our parents simply didn't want any surprise that could significantly impact their lives. It's also worth mentioning that my brother's girlfriend doesn't have a job, even now. After he ran away, I managed to reach out to him despite him blocking our numbers. I tried to assist him by suggesting he open a bank account and get a credit card. I even helped him find a job that pays $18 per hour. I explained how things work to prevent him from struggling. A few weeks have passed, and I've attempted to hang out with him by inviting him to places. However, he never responds to my messages or calls. But when he needs something from me, that's when he'll text me. I'm the foolish one who always replies, even though I know he won't do the same. My parents claim they have no preference, but I know who the favorite child is. Being the oldest, I have always taken care of everyone, while he actually got the parents I always wished for. They put in more effort for him than for me. It doesn't really hurt me, but it does suck a little. All my parents do is ask about him constantly. They never ask about my well-being. They always ask me to talk to him on their behalf or to try and communicate with him. It's exhausting because it feels like I'm pressuring my brother into talking to me, even though it's clear that he wants nothing to do with them or me. I'm tired of being the caring one. I want to focus on myself, but my parents see me as the bad guy for not wanting to talk to him anymore. Am I the one in the wrong here? It sounds like your brother made a rash decision by running away and leaving everything behind. Your parents definitely seem to have spoiled him, which is frustrating when you had to handle more responsibilities at his age. It's understandable that you're frustrated with the situation and want to focus on yourself instead of constantly trying to bridge the gap between your brother and your parents. Am I the antagonist for refusing to pay the property taxes? My brother, 41 years old male, and I, 33 years old female, inherited the family house in upstate New York from our mother 9 years ago. At that time, our mother was suffering from a debilitating disease, and I was living in San Francisco, completing my 3rd year of school. My brother had recently married his spouse, and they were expecting their first child, living in Dayton. I made the decision to drop out of school and move back home to help take care of my mother's daily activities of living, finding a job at a deli to cover the expenses. Unfortunately, my brother wasn't able to assist due to his professional obligations as a high school teacher. After 3 years, our mother underwent a transplant surgery but did not survive. The only assets she had were the house valued at $175,000 and a 401k retirement fund with a balance of $250,000. Her will stated that the house would be divided among the 4 of us, my brother, myself, and my 2 nephews aged 12 and 10. Additionally, my brother was named as the sole beneficiary of the 401k and executor of the will. I eventually moved out of the house and promptly resumed my studies in chemistry. During this time, my brother found a new job and decided to move into the family house as his primary residence, so we did not sell it. I was pleased that the house would stay within our family, as it was built by our great-great-great-grandfather on our mother's side in the 1880s and is situated on a beautiful rural property overlooking a small lake. We agreed that my brother would cover the insurance, maintenance, and improvements while we split the property taxes 50-50, which are quite substantial in New York. Fast forward to this year. I have a good job in San Antonio and am financially stable, although my position demands a lot of my time, leaving little room for personal matters. I haven't been able to visit home for approximately 7 years. During holidays, my brother and his spouse spend time with her family in Ohio, and the few holidays I managed to take off were also spent with them there. Knowing that they were facing financial struggles, I agreed to pay the property and school taxes this year to help them get back on track. However, I explicitly informed my brother that I intended to declare the taxes on my own tax return to alleviate the burden. By declaring the payment, I would receive a $3,500 tax deduction. Unexpectedly in November, my brother called me in a panic because he had impulsively paid the taxes without having enough money in his account to cover the expense. While I was upset with him for acting irresponsibly, I still decided to Venmo him the money to avoid defaulting on the payment. Later, I consulted my accountant, who informed me that since I didn't make the payment directly, I couldn't legally claim it on my tax return. I strongly suspect that my brother orchestrated this situation to benefit from the tax break. Now we are facing another $4,000 tax payment next month for the school taxes. I informed my brother that it's beyond my budget due to the financial setback from the previous tax issue. As a self-employed worker on a 1099 form, I will owe at least that much when April comes around. Honestly, even if I survive on a tight budget of rice and beans for the year, I might be able to manage it. However, my brother has been telling our extended family that I'm the reason why we have to sell the family home, causing me to be isolated and criticized for being selfish. Am I the asshole in this situation? It's clear that you have made sacrifices to help your family, including dropping out of school and taking care of your mom. It's unfair for your brother to expect you to shoulder the entire financial burden, especially when you had explicitly discussed your plans with him. It seems like he may have manipulated the situation to his benefit and is now trying to shift the blame. Your family should be understanding of the sacrifices you've made and support you, rather than ostracizing you. I don't know how to feel about what my husband said. I apologize in advance, as I do not want my past posts to influence judgments. I am seeking objective advice and would greatly appreciate your help in understanding my situation. I have been married to my husband for nearly 2 years now, and we have been together since 2018. While we have encountered various issues, such as disagreements about family relationships and exes, we have worked through most of them and can now communicate without resorting to shouting matches. However, since around October, there have been some occurrences that make me seriously consider leaving, as the future with my husband seems uncertain. To provide some context, my husband has an ex who is currently married to one of his best friends. I have expressed discomfort with this situation, but he has mostly disregarded it and expected me to deal with it. I have my own insecurities and do not believe in maintaining friendships with exes. In October, her birthday came up, and after many fights, my husband and I agreed that he should prioritize his friendship with his friend rather than maintaining contact with her. Essentially, while we cannot change the fact that she exists, we do not have to go out of our way to be friends with her. However, I had a nagging feeling that he had contacted her on her birthday, despite having the same argument repeatedly throughout our relationship. I checked his phone and discovered that their text thread had been cleared, which upset me greatly. This was not the first time he had done this only with her. I confronted him about it and he lied, saying that he did not talk to her because he knew it upset me. This led to a major fight, and we ended up seeking counseling. Our therapist helped us realize that trying to keep someone in our lives who causes such turmoil in our marriage is not worth it. I acknowledge that this issue stems from my insecurities, and I am actively working on improving them. However, my husband refuses to let go and believes that he cannot maintain his friendship with this person and still engage in guy things. This ongoing argument amplifies the feeling that our marriage is not a priority for him and that he is unwilling to make an effort. Another issue is our unsatisfying sex life. For him, once or twice a month is acceptable, but it is not enough for me. We have discussed this problem, but it does not improve. He attributes his lower sex drive to growing up in a conservative household, although I also grew up in a similar environment. In December, I caught him watching erotic content on Facebook, which made me cry because it seemed like he had no interest in having an erotic sex life with me specifically. Fast forward to January, I scheduled a date night for us to plan our year, including trips, and address our issue of prioritizing ourselves and our marriage, rather than constantly being with friends and family. However, he ruined the evening by only wanting to discuss how we will manage weekends, birthdays, and events with his friend, who married his ex. The entire night revolved around that topic, as they are all turning 30 this year. At this point, I am unsure of what to do. He consistently fails to prioritize me, our sex life, or our marriage in any significant way. During our date night, I voiced my concerns, and his response was shocking. He said, "I know I'm a great guy, not too bad to look at either. I know I can get someone else if I want to. But the fact that I don't, and stay with you, should be reassurance enough." I am at a loss after hearing this. Now, he expects me to simply choose to be happy without any insecurities, despite his hurtful statement. It's understandable that you're feeling hurt and neglected. Communication and trust are crucial in any relationship, so it's important for you and your husband to have an open and honest conversation about your concerns. Maybe consider seeking couples therapy again to work through these issues, and find a resolution that works for both of you. My wife went on a girls' trip. I found a private message between her and her mother saying that she will divorce me if she comes and the house is dirty. How do I confront her about it? My wife and I have been happily married for 9 years, or so I thought. Our anniversary is next week. She just left for a 4-day girls' trip in the city, and I am staying home to take care of our 3-year-old son. I wasn't thrilled about this trip since it's expensive and money is tight right now, but I accepted it. She doesn't get to see these friends often because they live far away. I suggested that maybe we could all go together and I could spend the day with our son while she spends time with her friends. We could stay at a cheaper hotel instead of the fancy one her friends chose, and she wouldn't have to share a room with them at night. She's self-conscious about snoring. However, she did not like this idea, so we agreed that I would stay home and she would go alone. Our car recently broke down and we can't afford to take it to a mechanic, so I decided to work on it over the weekend. Since I couldn't leave my kid alone, I brought him with me and let him watch some kid shows on the family tablet while I worked. When I turned on the tablet, I saw a series of notifications from a conversation between my wife and her mother. From what I read, my wife mentioned that she would divorce me if she returned home and found the house dirty. It didn't sound like a joke to me. It seemed like a definite decision, as if she was discussing whether to stay in the state or move away after the divorce. Her mother also appeared to take this seriously. Now, I'm not the tidiest person, but our house looks as one would expect with a 3-year-old around, cluttered, but not completely disgusting. Our kitchen lacks sufficient storage, so our countertops tend to accumulate commonly used items. Although my wife wants our kitchen to look like the ones on TikTok, we constantly use items like jars and utensils, so they frequently reside on the counter. Both of us tidy up when we have time. I handle all the grocery shopping and cooking, and we split the remaining housework evenly. Her only individual tasks are bathing our son and loading the dishwasher. She often lets the dishes pile up and does them around once a week, complaining about the workload. I have offered to switch chores, but she always declines, claiming she's a bad cook. I understand and accept her decision. Here's where things get strange though. She recently talked to me about my slow response to her texts while I'm at work, explaining that it triggers extreme anxiety for her. She worries that I secretly hate her and want to leave her. I reassured her that it's not the case, and that I'm simply busy with work. My job involves time-sensitive tasks and frequent interactions with others. My response seemed to give her some relief. However, now I discover that she's considering leaving me regardless, which contradicts her fear of me leaving her. I thought it might be a defense mechanism, but the conversation with her mother occurred after I expressed my love for her and my happiness in our relationship. Additional context: she recently discovered TikTok and seems to have developed an unhealthy attachment to the app. I have expressed concern, but she's an adult who can spend her free time however she pleases. I sometimes joke that her face is always buried in her phone because of TikTok, and she brushes it off. Nonetheless, scrolling through TikTok videos has become her main after-work activity. She lounges on the couch or bed, engrossed in the app. While she was packing for her trip, she mentioned a TikTok video she saw where a woman left her husband and child for 11 days, only to return to a messy house. Since I haven't seen the video, I can't provide much commentary, but leaving your spouse and child unsupported for 11 days seems quite long to me. My wife was appalled by how the husband failed to clean adequately before his wife came back, suggesting that he did it as some form of punishment. I can't help but notice that she watched this video shortly before her conversation with her mother. A few weeks ago, she also accused me of malicious incompetence, although she couldn't explain what exactly that meant. She saw a TikTok video where someone talked about their husband's malicious incompetence, and apparently felt that it applied to me as well. I felt quite offended since I work hard to keep our household running smoothly. I asked for an example, but she couldn't provide one. A few days later, when I returned from shopping with our son, she berated me for being maliciously incompetent because I didn't buy oranges. Oranges were not on the family shopping list we keep on the fridge. At the store, I asked our son, the primary fruit eater, what fruit he wanted, and he chose bananas, so that's what I purchased. However, my wife insisted that buying oranges was a part of being competent. I can't help but wonder if these are genuinely her feelings, or if she's merely venting or seeking solidarity with these "my husband sucks" TikTok videos. I want to discuss it with her when she returns, but I feel it would be better to wait and not ruin her trip with an argument. How should I approach our conversation when she gets back? My emotions are all over the place right now. I don't want to lose my wife and son. I could thoroughly clean the house and pretend I never saw the message, but I think that would eat away at me, knowing that she contemplated leaving me over something so trivial. And who's to say there won't be another secret ultimatum down the road? I can't keep playing this game indefinitely. Part of me even wants to print out divorce papers and hand them to her when she returns, just to gauge her reaction, because I genuinely cannot discern how serious she is about this situation. However, I don't want to worsen things if she's truly undecided. In the past, she made jokes, both of us laughing, about leaving me for a sugar daddy or having one foot out the door. However, this recent conversation with her mother didn't sound like a joke to me. My world has been shattered, and I no longer think rationally. I don't know how we can return to normal. I'm unsure if this relationship is salvageable. I can't determine if she's going through a difficult time, or if I genuinely resemble the useless TikTok husbands I keep hearing about. Nothing seems to make sense anymore. Wow, this sounds like a really tough situation. It seems like there might be some miscommunication or mixed signals going on between you and your wife. Since she's currently on her trip, it might be best to wait until she gets back to have a calm and open conversation about what's been going on. It's important to express your feelings and concerns without making any accusations or jumping to conclusions. Hopefully, you can find a way to work through this together and figure out where these thoughts and feelings are coming from. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.